Hey Mena Warriors, it's Kate and welcome back to my Menopause Monday, which is a weekly video all about menopause where I try and help you understand what goes on with our bodies, but also give you a sense of hope and instill belief in you that you can actually get through the menopause and thrive. It should not be a period of your life which turns into complete disaster and leaves you feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. Myself included, I work with a lot of ladies who have turned the menopause around. Yes, of course, we're going through it, but we're managing our symptoms effectively with just a few simple lifestyle tips, changes, strategies. Nothing against HRT at all. I've never used it myself. I'm not anti-HRT. I think if you can get the results you want doing the natural method, that's probably the better option. Like I say, I don't swing one way or the other. I know what works for me, and also a lot of ladies that I work with, and also quite a few ladies actually can't take HRT. Plus, it seems like it's even harder to get hold of. There are shortages of this, that, and the other, and that's actually really discombobulating, particularly if you are relying on it a lot. Today, I'm actually going to talk about surviving hot flushes in a heat wave, which is rather pertinent at the moment, don't you think? Unless you're watching this as a catch-up in the winter, in which case just embrace the memory of the heat. Hot flushes affect around 80 to 85% of all women going through the menopause. They are one of my worst symptoms, and I've learned how to track them and work out what works or what helps to prevent them, and also what makes them absolutely worse. I'm also going to give you some tips and strategies to help you recover from the hot flush faster when one does take control of you. I mean, they're really hard to escape in the summer. And I think when our bodies are already hot, they seem to come on a bit more easily. And I don't know about you, when I have a hot flush, it's not just feeling hot. I feel quite nauseous. I feel like I'm almost fizzing in my chest area. They did something on Jeremy Vine on Radio 2 a little while ago, and they've got this hot vest that they can put on men to help them understand what hot flush is like. And while I think it's great that somebody is making things that men might be able to help men understand what it's like, Jeremy Vine described it as lying on a beach. Just like, that's not what a hot flush feels like at all. It's flipping uncomfortable. I feel nauseous. It can make me feel quite irritable. They are not pleasant. Plus, you just sweat profusely, and you don't want to be feeling like that, particularly if you're stuck in an office and you're wearing clothes and you're not allowed a fan or to sit near a window. I don't know. I like the fact that there are steps out there to help men understand what it's like. I don't think it's necessarily the be all and end all, but maybe it's improvement in the right direction. I don't know. Anyway, however, if it was just as simple as putting on a hot jacket that makes you feel warm for a few minutes, that would be great. Bring on those type of hot flushes. I'd be interested. Comment below what your experience of a hot flush is, because we all experience them differently, and some of mine are worse than others. So anyhow, it is caused by an imbalance of our hormones. There's a lot of unknowns about what actually causes it to happen. It's something that happens in our brain. I think it's in an area of the brain which has a lot of estrogen receptors, and when obviously our estrogen levels fall, it creates that vasodilation, which is when we just suddenly have that volcanic eruption. It can make you look blotchy. It can make you drip in sweat. It can give you a rapid heartbeat. It can give you the sensation of palpitations. It can make you feel nauseous. It can make you feel dizzy. And some people, this has started to happen to me a little bit more, not in a heat wave, of course, but after I've had a hot flush, I actually can feel quite cold, which it didn't happen like that a little while back. So like I said, everybody's experience of hot flushes is different, so I'd be really interested to hear what your experience is. There are various things that cause hot flushes, and so avoid those ideally. Obviously, smoking, just stop. If you smoke, don't smoke, unless you just want to die early, because essentially I'm not even going to get on that one. It's not about smoking, but just stop smoking. Alcohol can make hot flushes worse. Spicy foods can make hot flushes worse. Sugars, so like sweet things, artificially sugarated, that's a new word, artificially sugarated things can bring on a hot flush. Caffeine can. Being dehydrated, that's one of my biggest triggers. I drink masses of waters. I have masses of water, rather. I have water with me everywhere I go. As soon as I start to sense that I'm getting dehydrated or slightly dry mouthed, boof, I have a volcanic eruption. So make sure that you're drinking things that are going to hydrate you. Incidentally, tea and coffee, it has a dehydrating effect on you. So you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to have this refreshing cup of tea. And I love a refreshing cup of tea. I love my coffee as well, but they do dehydrate you. So just be aware of that. If you're sweating a lot, if you do a lot of workouts, either take an electrolyte balancing supplement, or coconut water is a fantastically natural way of rebalancing your electrolytes. It's also really refreshing. Although I do remember the first time I tried coconut water, I can't remember what brand it was, and I just thought, I can't believe people drink this stuff. But somehow I've come to absolutely adore it over the years. Whether I'm using a different brand or quite what, I'm not sure. But I remember being highly disappointed the first time I had it, and now I just can't get enough of the stuff. Put it in the fridge. It's lovely and refreshing. Another really refreshing drink is kombucha. I don't know how long you've been following me for, but I make my own kombucha. I swear by it. I have actually got a free brew your own kombucha group on Facebook. I am not active in it any longer, but I opened it up again because a lot of people have said to me, oh, please, can I join the group? And I said, well, I'm not running it at the moment, but there's so much information in there. And it's all about how to start, what you need, things to watch out for, how to have a really successful kombucha brew, how to flavor them, etc., etc., etc. So if you wanted access into that free group, like I mentioned, I'm not hosting it per se at the moment, but if you wanted to get access into it, just drop me a message and I will send you the link to that Facebook group. So the things that you can do to help you cope with hot flushes when they happen in the summertime. I think one of the easiest things is, you know, those little Evian spray bottles, just keep one of those in your car, maybe in your handbag and next to your bed. Because if you wake up and have a volcanic eruption and it's literally boiling, or before you go to bed, just spritz it around the back of your neck, around your face, on your chest. I find also on the insides of my arms makes a massive difference, and on my feet. That will help just cool you down sufficiently, or it'll certainly take the edge off your hot flush. Also, a cool compress. I love lavender oil or rose oil or chamomile oil. I love all of those essential oils. They're all very soothing as well. If I'm traveling, I tend to, I wet a flannel. I know it sounds a bit old and Victorian, but I think it works really well. I wet a flannel with really cold water. At the moment, I'm also putting some ice cubes in. So I'm wetting it, putting it in a freezer bag so it doesn't drip everywhere. I'm also adding a few drops of essential oils onto it. So if I wake up or if I'm traveling, I'm in the car and I'm stuck. Recently, my aircon went on my car. That was fun. So just to have that and to dab it around again in the same places as you use your atomizer, it is so refreshing. You could even put a few drops of peppermint essence or peppermint essential oil on your flannel, and it'll give you that cooling effect, which is, it's delicious on your feet. Well, it's divine on your feet. I wouldn't lick your feet, but it's really lovely. Prioritize your chores in the morning. So when the day is cooler, get your heavy duty stuff done, get the ironing out of the way, get the hoovering done, get the mopping out of the way, get your workout done early, and then walk your dogs early. If you've got dogs, make sure you're walking them before the pavements get too hot or the ground gets too hot, because not only have they got the heat on their bodies from the sun, there's so much reflected heat from the ground. And I think also we should all get into the habit of putting our hand on the floor, and is it hot? Because if it's hot for us, it's hot for our dogs, and it's unfair to be walking them when it's so hot, because they can actually burn their pads. So just be mindful of that. I know this is sort of a bit of a rabbit hole, but just as a precaution, because I'd hate to think that your furry friends have got sore feet. Use a fan in your bedroom. If you've got a fan, pop a fan on, and as you sort of remove the bed covers at night, it'll just cool you down when you have a hat flush. And it's like a menopause language, isn't it? Don't you find? Have a hat flush, and as you're getting sweaty, fan will just help to cool you down. I'm currently using a fan at all times. It's not only good for me, it's also good for my furry friends. Another good thing is practice mindful breathing. Now, when we have a hot flush, it often makes us feel more antsy and agitated. If we can bring down our level of stimulation in our body, it's naturally going to help shorten and lessen the impact of that hot flush. So maybe you atomize yourself, or you rub yourself with your cold flannel, and then you lie there with hopefully the fan on your body and just do some mindful breathing, whether you want to do some meditation with it or not too, but just mindful, relaxed breathing. I think, you know, if it's in the early hours, you don't want to be, I tend not to do deep breathing in the early hours. I find I can't be bothered, I don't want to, but box breathing is really, really useful. So you say, like, you breathe in for 6 seconds slowly through your nose, you hold it for 6 seconds, you breathe out slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds, and then you hold that expired air out for 6 seconds, so you empty lungs for 6 seconds. And then the next 6 seconds, you breathe it in slowly through your nose, hold it for 6, out slowly through your mouth for 6, and then, you know, keep your empty lungs for 6 seconds. And do several rounds of that. You'll find that will be a big help for you, because it's just going to bring down your sort of nervous system response. It's going to stimulate what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, and that is our relaxing nervous system. Obviously, light bedclothes are an obvious one. I tell you one thing I love to do, and I sleep under the stars when it's really, really hot. I just put an inflatable bed outside or some cushions, and I just lie under the stars. And it does, you might get a bit damp, so be aware of that. In a sort of 3-4 o'clock, if you have heavy dews where you are, if you're lying on grass, you might get a little bit cool. Surprisingly, it can be quite refreshing. I would make sure you've got a couple of blankets available. So, you know, maybe sleep in a light sleeping bag, then have another blanket available just in case you wake up feeling a bit chilly in the earlier hours. And be mindful that you might have toads and hedgehogs and all sorts of lovely nature walking past you. Well, quite often we have a toad who walks from one end to the next to the pond, and there are a series of nights when I slept outside under the stars, and every single night a little toad hopped past or crawled past. It was absolutely joyful. I love toads, I love reptiles, so for me it's a no-brainer. And you can see the stars. It's amazing how many shooting stars you'll see. You'll see lots of satellites. It's fascinating. It's a completely different experience sleeping outside. So just bear that in mind. See it as a bit of fun. I think it's brilliant fun. My daughter also does it with me quite often. One that's not an overnight thing, but in the long term it's going to benefit you, is to lose weight. The more fat we have on our body, the more heat we keep in. Incidentally, the more estrogen we produce too, because fat produces estrogen. So while you're thinking, okay, well, that's handy because I need more estrogen, as we go through the menopause, we're estrogen dominant. So it means that, yes, our estrogen is falling, but our progesterone and testosterone are falling even faster. And it's that estrogen dominance that causes a lot of the problems. You do not want to be creating more estrogen from fat. So if you can shed a few pounds, that will also help you feel cooler. You know, if you're in a climate which is hot, just contact me. I will help you lose weight really successfully, reasonably quickly, healthily quickly, and you'll keep it off as well. No deprivation, no calorie counting, none of that rubbish. Just healthful, mindful eating, and you'll probably end up eating way more than you do right now, but you will lose the weight, and you'll have so much more energy, and you'll feel so much happier. Another really ninja tip, I think, if you don't want to sleep outside, is to fill a hot water bottle up with cold water and either put ice cubes inside it, if you can fit them in, or put it in the deep freeze for a while. Obviously, wrap it in a towel and then put it in your bed, put it under your feet, put it wherever you want, and it'll help to keep you cool, maybe under your neck for a little while. It's so refreshing. And if you've got more than one, I would go for it. If you have south or west face, indeed, south and west facing rooms are the worst. Close your curtains so that the sun can't come in. It will help to keep it a little bit cooler. I know some people say close your windows so the hot air can't come in. I just can't face doing that. I always have my windows open. Again, I'd be interested. Comment below, do you close your windows in a heat wave? Because even if it's hot air, I have to have some airflow. The thought of closing all the windows would just drive me insane. I'd feel like I was in a prison. And the last one, this might be, you might think, why on earth am I even mentioning this? But it's amazing how many heating systems, especially if it's an older one, heat up all the radiators in the house. Make sure all your radiators are turned off. You might have a couple that are still ticking over on light number 2. That's enough to really hot it up during these higher temperatures. So make sure you've got your heating up. I'm sure, given the climate outside at the moment, I mean, the political and economic climate, that everybody's got their radiators turned off. Just be mindful of the fact there might be the odd one or two that are either on 1, 2, or 3. Go and turn them down if you've got thermostatic controls on your radiators. And that's it. So I hope those were helpful tips. Again, in the comments, let me know which of those was like, oh yeah, I'm going to try that. I've never tried that before. It's a really great idea. Thank you, Hartley. It's my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. I hope you continue to not melt. It has been incredibly hot. Lots of cold showers through the day also helps, but of course we're in water shortages now and we're all being told not to wash. Maybe if you've got water butts, that would be a useful way. You could even just take the top off and use it as a dunking butt. That's a great idea, a dunking butt. Turn your water butt into a dunking butt and it will keep you cool. So with that, my friends, my menopause warriors, go and have a fantastic week. If there's anything you would like me to cover in future episodes, please message me, let me know. I'll be more than happy to add it. Stay safe, keep well hydrated, stay off the pop. I know cold beers at the end of the day are so tempting. I'm having a couple too as well. But make sure you're balancing that with loads and loads of water throughout the day. Keep yourself well hydrated, and just remember that tea and coffee and obviously alcohol do dehydrate you too. Thank you for your company, and I will catch you again soon.